Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, tonight, I want to tell you something that will change the way you walk through life. You are not waiting for a miracle. You are living in one. The doors you've been praying for, those doors are already open. You just need the faith to walk through them. God has already opened the right doors for you. My dear friends, there comes a time in every life when we stand before what seems like a wall, a barrier, an impossible blockade. We cry out, Lord, where is the way? And God gently whispers back, child, I already made it. You don't need to see the whole path. Just trust the one who carved it. That's the power of faith. That's the anchor that holds us steady when everything around us seems uncertain. There's someone reading this right now who's been praying, fasting, crying out, God, show me the way. But I'm here to tell you, He already has. You may not see it yet, you may not understand it, but that's where faith becomes your greatest weapon. Faith doesn't wait until the door is wide open. It starts walking, believing God has already turned the handle. Have you ever stood in front of a door and hesitated, wondering if it was the right one? You had the resume, but you didn't send it. You had the dream, but you never pursued it. Not because the door was closed, but because fear kept you from even reaching for the knob. Let me say something bold to you. Fear has lied to you long enough. The voice in your head saying you're not ready, you're not good enough, you're too late, that's not the voice of God. That's the enemy of your purpose. Because God will never call you to stay stuck. He calls you to move forward. When the Israelites stood at the Red Sea, they couldn't see a door. They saw water. But God didn't need a door. He made a way where there was no way. He carved a path with His own hand. That's what He does. And if He did it then, He'll do it now. The same God who opened the sea can open the opportunity you've been waiting for. But you've got to stop waiting to understand and start walking by faith. Faith is not the absence of uncertainty. It's moving forward in the midst of it. You don't need to know how it's going to work out. You just need to know who's going with you. And if God is with you, you cannot fail. He said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. That means you're not taking blind steps, you're taking divine steps. Every move of faith is a step closer to destiny. Let me ask you, what are you waiting for? The confirmation is in the peace you feel when you pray. The door is open, but the choice is yours. Will you walk through it? Will you dare to believe that what God has placed in your heart is not just wishful thinking, but divine design? Don't miss the miracle because you're waiting for a sign. Sometimes the sign is the stirring in your spirit. Sometimes the open door doesn't come with fireworks, it comes with a whisper. But that whisper is louder than the world's doubt. If you can trust God enough to take the first step, He'll carry you through the rest. Because the path has already been carved. The door has already been opened. Now it's your move. Have you ever felt like God was silent? Like you've been praying, waiting, hoping, and yet nothing changes? You keep checking the doors of opportunity, only to find them still closed. The promotion didn't come. The healing hasn't happened. The relationship didn't restore. And deep down, you start to wonder, Did God forget me? But I came to remind you today, delay is not denial. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not on the way. God's silence is not God's absence. He is working behind the scenes, preparing the right door at the right time for the right reason. Sometimes God doesn't say no, he says not yet. And that not yet isn't punishment, it's protection. Because God loves you too much to let you walk through a door you're not ready for. A door too early can become a disaster. So while you're wondering why the door hasn't opened, God is strengthening your foundation, sharpening your character, and aligning the right people, places, and provision to match what He's about to release. What you call a delay, God calls development. The waiting room isn't a wasted room. It's a workshop for your faith. Think about it. Joseph had a dream at 17 but didn't see the palace until he was 30. David was anointed king while still tending sheep and then spent years running from Saul. Jesus himself waited 30 years to begin his ministry. If the Son of God had to wait for the right moment, why should we expect instant answers? We live in a world of instant gratification, but God is a God of process. And in that process, He is not only preparing the blessing for you, He's preparing you for the blessing. What good is an open door if you don't have the faith to walk through it? What good is an opportunity if your character can't carry the weight of it? That's why delay is never a sign that you're forgotten. It's often a sign that God is putting the finishing touches on something greater than you imagined. So don't lose hope while you wait. Keep praying. Keep praising. Keep preparing. Because one day, when you least expect it, the door will swing open and you'll see why it took so long. The timing will be perfect. The fit will be exact. And your spirit will know this was worth the wait. You haven't been overlooked. You haven't been disqualified. You've been preserved for purpose. Delay is not denial. It's divine timing in disguise. And when that door opens, you'll walk through it not with doubt, but with the confidence of someone who knows God didn't forget me. He was just getting everything ready. What if I told you that your future isn't in the hands of people, bosses, critics, or circumstances, but in the hands of a God who never makes mistakes? What if the job that rejected you, the person who walked away, or the plan that fell apart wasn't evidence of failure, but proof that you are being rerouted by divine purpose? Because the truth is, your life isn't governed by man's approval. Your destiny is not controlled by the systems of this world. No human being has the power to close a door that God has already opened. We spend so much time trying to fit into places God is trying to free us from. We chase validation, we strive for applause, and we get discouraged when people don't see our value. But listen closely, your purpose was not voted on by a committee. Heaven didn't consult your resume before deciding your destiny. You don't need permission from people to walk through what God has already unlocked. Stop giving others the authority to limit what only God has the right to lead. God sees the full picture. He knows the people who will support you and the ones who will betray you. And sometimes He uses both. that rejection, that disappointment. It wasn't the enemy winning, it was God redirecting. Sometimes he closes one door to protect your purpose from being diluted by the wrong environment. What looked like a setback was actually a setup for something greater. Think about it when God called Moses. He was hiding in the wilderness. When he chose Gideon, he was full of fear. When he anointed David, he was overlooked by his own father. People didn't see them as leaders, but God saw a destiny. He didn't choose them based on public opinion, he chose them based on divine purpose. And that same God has his hand on your life, whether others recognize it or not. So stop measuring your calling by people's acceptance. Stop looking for confirmation from voices that don't know your assignment. You don't need a spotlight to shine, you need obedience. You don't need applause to walk in power. You need alignment with heaven. When you walk in God's purpose, you walk with authority that no man can strip away. And here's the beauty when God opens the door. It doesn't matter who tried to block it. It doesn't matter how underqualified you feel or how unworthy you've been told you are. Grace qualifies you. Favor opens what hustle never could. You may not be everyone's choice, but you are God's choice. And when he decides it's your time, no voice, no force, no failure can stop it. The door is open. Not because of who you are, but because of who he is. Wow. Whoa. Lowly. Not because people said yes, but because God already did. How many blessings have we missed because we were too afraid to move? How many prayers have been answered, but we didn't recognize it because the door didn't look like we expected? The truth is, God can open the door, but he won't walk through it for you. That part is yours. You got to rise up, shake off the fear, and step into the room. Heaven has already released the opportunity. Now you have to take the step of faith. We love the idea of open doors, but let's be honest, sometimes we hesitate at the threshold. We ask for signs, confirmations, second confirmations. We wonder, is this really God? Am I ready? What if I fail? But let me tell you, fear doesn't mean you're going the wrong way. Fear often shows up right before breakthrough. That trembling in your chest, that uneasiness in your gut, that's not a stop sign. It's a sign that you're about to level up. The enemy wouldn't be attacking your confidence if you weren't standing at the edge of something powerful. Some of you are standing in front of an open door right now, but you're frozen. You're afraid to walk into something new because you've grown comfortable with the familiar. You'd rather stay in the hallway of hesitation than walk into the unknown. But God didn't bring you this far to leave you standing outside the room. He opened it. He cleared the path. And now he's saying, trust me, take the step. Look at Peter. He walked on water not because he had all the answers, but because he had enough faith to step out of the boat. The miracle didn't happen while he was sitting, it happened when he moved. The supernatural follows obedience. If you're waiting to feel ready, you may never go. If you're waiting to have every detail figured out, you may miss your moment. God doesn't need your perfection, he needs your participation. The room you've been praying for is already unlocked. That opportunity, that relationship, that platform, that healing, it's already been prepared. Hey, won't force itself on you. God gives you the invitation. But you decide if you'll RSVP. Will you trust him enough to walk into something that stretches you? Will you believe that if he opened the door, he'll also sustain you inside it? You don't have to be fearless. You just have to be faithful. You don't need a spotlight. You need a yes. And the moment you step in, you'll find out the grace was already there. The strength was already waiting, and the favor was already flowing. The atmosphere of your next level is on the other side of your obedience. The door is open. It's your move now. What if the breakthrough you've been waiting for isn't delayed? It's just hidden behind your gratitude. What if the key to unlocking the fullness of the open doors in your life is not begging God for more, but thanking Him for what He's already done? Gratitude is not a filler emotion. It's a force. It shifts atmospheres. It repositions your heart to see what you couldn't see before. Because sometimes the door has already opened, you just haven't recognized it yet. Too often, we miss what God is doing now because we're too focused on what we're still waiting for. We say, God, God, thank you for keeping me when all the other doors were wrong. We say, God, bless me, and overlook the fact that we woke up this morning with breath in our lungs, purpose in our spirit, and new mercies already chasing us down. If you want to see more of what God has in store, start praising Him for what He's already revealed. Gratitude doesn't change God, it changes you. It adjusts your vision. It tunes your spirit to heaven's frequency. Suddenly, what looked like a delay starts to look like protection. What looked like a detour starts to look like direction. You realize the closed doors weren't curses, they were shields. And the open doors? You begin to walk through them with boldness because you recognize the hand of God in every hand. Remember the 10 lepers that Jesus healed? Only one came back to say thank you. All 10 were cleansed, but only one received wholeness. That's the difference gratitude makes. It doesn't just receive the miracle, it multiplies it. When you thank God, you're not just being polite, you're activating more. More peace. More clarity. More favor. More vision to see doors you would have otherwise walked right past. Gratitude turns your heart from striving to trusting. You stop anxiously asking God, when will it happen? And start confidently declaring, God, I know you've already made a way. That's the shift. That's when your posture invites the presence of God to move even more powerfully in your life. Because when heaven hears gratitude, it responds. When you praise in the hallway, you're preparing yourself for what's waiting behind the next door. If you're feeling stuck today, don't just pray praise. Don't just ask, acknowledge. Thank Him for what didn't work out because it led you here. Thank Him for the doors that closed because they kept you aligned. Thank Him for the breath in your lungs, the grace on your life, and the purpose in your steps. Because when you thank God for what you already have, He'll trust you with more. Gratitude isn't the end of the journey. It's the beginning of overflow. The door is open. Praise your way through it. So now the question is not, is the door open? The question is, will you walk through it? God has already gone before you. He's already cleared the path, unlocked the door, and set the table. You don't need to keep begging for what's already been given. You need to rise in faith and move. Let gratitude be your declaration. Let faith be your foundation. Let courage be your response. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are not disqualified. You are standing at the threshold of something greater than you imagined. And heaven is not waiting on another prayer. It's waiting on your yes. This is your moment. This is your hour. The door is open. Step in.